After 2 years of silence due to the call of national duty, the 7 stars who once shone together finally returned to one sky. BTS has returned home. They didn't just show up. They were present, whole, complete, and bringing with them a long-buried longing. Jin, SUGA, J-Hope, Taehyung, Jimin and Jungkook sat together in one frame just like before. But this time their presence felt more than nostalgia. There was something moving slowly behind their laughter. A feeling that this wasn't the end of the break but rather a new beginning. Through a live broadcast on Weverse, they didn't just say hello. They shared news that made thousands of hearts beat in unison. BTS is working on a new album. This isn't a symbolic reunion. This is a concrete step towards the future. No longer apart, no longer waiting. They are ready to walk together again. But from all the warmth that spilled over in the broadcast, there were 2 figures who attracted deeper attention: Jimin and Jungkook. Not because they were looking for the spotlight, but because the spotlight always seemed to find them. Amidst the chatter and banter, there's one moment that feels like an unintentionally revealed secret. Jungkook, with a natural movement, massages Jimin's shoulder, as if his body knew before his mind did that Jimin was there. Jimin, too, in the familiar silence, rests his arm on Jungkook's lap. No words, no gestures, but their whole body language says, this isn't the first time. They don't sit side by side because they're told to. They end up side by side because that's how they work. Like a tiny gravity that only they understand. When one moves, the other follows. When one laughs, the other stares for a moment longer than they should. This relationship isn't something that was built overnight. Since their early days, Jimin and Jungkook have forged a bond that doesn't need labels. They don't show love, but they show a mutuality that can't be avoided. And to those who pay attention, it's much deeper. These moments, the natural physical contact, the lingering glances, the reflexive positions of bodies seeking each other, are evidence of something that isn't made to be consumed. It's not acting. It's a routine born of years of comfort. And when we talk about the Are You Sure project, Jikook's world feels like it's been given room to breathe. This program isn't just travel content. It's an intimate portrait of 2 people who feel most alive when they're together. The cities they visit, the atmosphere they choose, and the silences they share, all speak to something bigger than the show's agenda. Their togetherness feels so undeniable. Their every move feels like a continuation of a long-standing dialogue, without words, without demands. They don't force a narrative because it's already written in their eyes, in the way they sit, touch, and stay together without having to explain why. They're not trying to prove something. They just can't hide what's already part of their daily lives. Jimin and Jungkook aren't performing to convince anyone. They're just there, and that presence itself is the most honest statement. And in a world that's constantly changing, where relationships are often a public enigma, their closeness feels like an oasis. Honest, consistent, and unpretentious. Now, with BTS back in full formation, the world is welcoming a new era. But for some of us, this is also a continuation of the story of 2 people who have never really been apart. They may not say anything directly, but for those who listen with their hearts, it's all clear. There's something about their closeness that can't be explained by ordinary logic. When Jimin and Jungkook are in the same room, time seems to slow down a little. Not because they want to be seen, but because they seem to only know how to be them when they're together. There's a comfort that can't be engineered and a trust that can't be bought. They move at the same pace, not leading each other, not waiting for each other, as if everything has been arranged by their long time together. In the midst of the crowd, they create a quiet space that's theirs. Not a space that's bounded by walls or words, but a space that lives in the way they look at each other, respond to each other, and understand each other without asking. Even when the camera moves, even when other voices come in, their connection is never interrupted. And herein lies the magic. Not in what they say, but in all the things they don't say. In a world hungry for recognition, they choose silence to speak the loudest. Some might call it a close friendship. Others might call it a soul bond. But for those who have followed Jimin and Jungkook for years, the terms don't matter. Because what they show goes beyond categories. It's not about labels. It's about an inseparable existence. In every interaction, we see how Jimin and Jungkook aren't just comfortable with each other. They're rooted in each other. It's as if one person's presence is the other's home. Like the sky always knows where the sun and moon are supposed to be. And when the new episodes of Are You Sure are announced, fans know this isn't just travel content. This is a fresh page in a journal that's been read in secret by many hearts for so long. We know there will be more small smiles, more lingering eye contact, and more silences filled with meaning. What makes them special isn't that they're perfect, it's that they don't pretend. They're not trying to be the ideal couple in the public eye. They're simply showing the most honest versions of themselves, as they are. And that's where the beauty lies. Even in this new phase of BTS, with a new album, a big project, and renewed hope, Jimin and Jungkook's relationship remains a compelling thread. They may share the spotlight with 6 other people, but the light they create together is a color all its own, warm, calm, and profound. Every thoughtless touch, every seemingly reflexive gesture, is a history that needs no explanation. And in a world that is constantly searching for meaning in everything, they teach us that some things are not meant to be explained. Some things are meant to be felt. They never say, "We are something." But in the way they seek each other out, in the way they share space without asking, in the way they always end up in the same place, we know, whatever their relationship is, it's real. And maybe that's the purest form of love. One that doesn't try to convince anyone, because it doesn't need to.